So what's going to happen to Conor Benn? Will he receive a ban? Well, normally when someone tests positive for a prohibited substance, the first thing I'll do is actually look the substance up, talk to people, try and find out information about what it is, what it does, who normally uses it. Is it commonly used for performance enhancement? Is it used as a masking agent? Is it a diuretic, etc., etc.? So I'll try and find out information about the substance first, and then I'll wait to hear the fighter's explanation for why the substance was in their system. Now, in this case with Conor Benn, indeed, I've done research on Clomid, and it is used by people that take steroids as a testosterone booster when they've cycled off. So for those of you who don't know, I'm sure most of you do, when someone is taking steroids, they are receiving an external source of testosterone. Therefore, their bodies stop producing testosterone, or their testosterone production is greatly reduced at least. And so when they come off the steroid cycle, the testosterone levels in the body are extremely low. And so that it can take weeks, months, sometimes even years for the levels to return to normal by themselves. Therefore, they use substances like Clomid, and to give it its full title, here it's called clomiphene. They use this substance to bring the testosterone levels back up to a normal level, or even increase them above a normal level, I'm not sure. Now, in a medical setting, this substance is normally used to treat female infertility. I've heard some people say it also treats male infertility, but primarily female. So what excuse could Conor Benn come up with for having this thing in his system, given the fact that it's commonly used by steroid users, commonly taken by them, and commonly in a medical setting taken by women? How can he explain having this in his system? I want to hear it. I'm not expecting it to be particularly plausible, but you never know. I at least want to give him that opportunity before I make my mind up about whether this guy has knowingly taken a performance enhancing substance. Now, some people say that, well, maybe he's just naive. And there's this doctor who, as I mentioned in the previous video, I actually know this guy, not in real life, but he used to be in my Facebook group and I talked to him many times. He actually did a bit of boxing himself. He posted some videos and pictures sometimes of him sparring and moving around in the gym. This doctor that Conor Benn was working with. So, yeah, some people could say that maybe he was given something and he didn't realize that it would be banned, and he put his trust in the person that gave it to him, etc., etc. But he is, 26, Conor Benn? He does have a trainer in Tony Sims and a bunch of other people around him. He's old enough to be consulting with people regarding what he's taking. And he may not be the sharpest tool in the box, but as a grown adult, you have to take responsibility for what you're putting in your body. You have to declare everything to the British Boxing Board of Control. So if you are taking a certain medication for whatever reason, it's all on paper, it's all up front. You're not trying to do it covertly. So again, Conor Benn has a lot of explaining to do. We haven't heard anything from him yet. And some people could say that his silence implies guilt. Maybe, but then again, maybe there are legal reasons why he can't speak on it right now, since there's apparently an investigation going on. So, with regards to a potential ban, Eddie Hearn, his promoter, claims that the British Boxing Board of Control have no legal grounds upon which to ban Conor Benn. And he says this is because they don't recognize VADA as a testing agency. They only recognize UKAD. Therefore, how can they ban him based upon a VADA test result? And he uses the Billy Joe Saunders, Demetrius Andrade situation as an example, because Billy Joe Saunders tested positive on a VADA test, but the British Boxing Board of Control said they wouldn't sanction him because apparently they don't recognize VADA, right? However, the substance that Billy Joe Saunders was found to have in his system is a substance which the British Board and UKAD actually permit outside of competition. And their definition of what outside of competition is anything, I believe, up until the week of the fight. So unless Billy Joe Saunders was caught using that substance on the week of the fight, then UKAD, if they'd found it in him, couldn't have banned him anyway. Do you see what I'm saying? So maybe that's the angle that the British board are coming from in retrospect regarding the Billy Joe Saunders situation. That it wasn't just as simple as they don't recognize VADA, but also Billy Joe was caught perhaps more than a week before the fight. Therefore, that's okay with them. That's not a violation as far as they're concerned, because they class that as being out of competition. Which, again, you can ask questions about why they allow someone to use something like that so close up to a fight, just a week before the fight, and claim that it's out of competition. Anyway, Eddie Hearn thinks that any legal case he brings, again, after consulting with his legal team, any case he brings against the British board over this issue is ironclad and watertight. He thinks that the British board don't have a leg to stand on. But as I say, the Times and other media organizations are reporting that UKAD are investigating Conor Benn anyway with a view to banning him. So they must feel that as though their case is strong. Why else would UKAD even bother with the investigation if they can't recommend a sanction to the British board afterwards? What's the point? I guess the only other explanation would be that it's just a sham investigation, which is actually designed to exonerate Conor Benn. Because, again, if you have no power to sanction someone, then why investigate them as a governing body or a commission? What's the point? So you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below about this whole fiasco. And I'll go into Eddie Hearn's antics, and they are antics at the moment. He's really, can I say he's falling apart professionally? Eddie Hearn's personal life, I'm sure, is fantastic, right? Grew up with wealth, and since becoming a boxing promoter, he's gone from strength to strength in terms of his money and taking his business to the next level and all that kind of thing. Great. But right now, where he is in his professional career at this point, and the way the public perceive Eddie Hearn and the decisions he's making, he seems to be crumbling a bit now. When somebody is in a crisis, that's when you see their true colors come out. Eddie Hearn, having grown up in the privilege that he has, probably hasn't experienced too many crises in his life. And so some of these personality traits, which were always there, which always showed to a certain extent, are amplified now that he's having all these crises going on. See, and it's not a good look for Eddie at this juncture. Maybe he needs to get a PR team and stop trying to be his own PR man. Because charisma can't get you out of everything. Sometimes you have to look at your bad decisions, or you have to look at the bad results that are happening for your business and think, what am I doing wrong? Yeah, again, I'll talk about that in a separate video. So yeah, that's the scenario with Conor Benn right now. UKAD apparently investigating. The British Boxing Board of Control refusing to sanction the fight with Eubank Jr., which contradicts this idea they don't recognize VADA. But Eddie Hearn claiming they can't sanction him, or they can't ban Conor Benn, excuse me. So make of that what you will. And as far as Conor Benn being banned, should they ban him? Yeah, of course they should ban him. How long? As I've said previously, I'm not really a fan of lifetime bans, and I don't think the British board are capable of a lifetime ban, at least not for a first-time PED offense. So we'll see what happens. A year, 2 years. What is Conor Benn, 26? Probably won't even hurt him that much. I'm sure he'll stay training if you got a 1 or 2 year ban. Some people say a 1 year ban's pointless because fighters who aren't banned can sometimes be inactive for a year due to various circumstances, pullouts, cancellations, injuries, and all that kind of thing. So is it really going to feel like a ban? Whereas a 2 year ban is going to feel more like a ban. In a recent video, I mistakenly said that Dillian Whyte received a 4 year ban earlier in his career. It wasn't a 4 year, it was actually a 2 year ban. So let me just correct myself there. Larry Olubamiwo, I don't think he even got a 4 year ban, and he had about 12 or 13 different substances in him, and he completely admitted guilt. He didn't try to say that, well, I mean, how could you come up with an explanation for 13 different PEDs being in his system? So he had to admit it. So those guys didn't receive 4 year bans, and therefore if you're going with the track record of the British board, then you can't really give Conor Benn a 4-year ban, can you? Particularly with it just being one substance as far as we're aware that they found. I know that people say he may have been on something else and he's using the Clomid to, boost his testosterone after coming off something else. Yeah, but they didn't find the something else. That's the thing. You can only go off the evidence. So the evidence is they've only found one thing in his system as it stands right now. A 4-year ban, that would be harsh compared to the bans they've given other people. See what I'm saying? So if we want the British board to be consistent, then it can't be anything that long. Anyway, maybe you guys think that the board should be harsher on everybody. Maybe you think they should make an example of Conor Benn. And from here on in, instead of just giving people 1 or 2 year bans, give everybody a 4-year ban. Maybe that will dissuade people from, discourage people from actually using performance enhancing substances in the UK. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.